So I've been a fan of your teachings since the beginning of this year and watching and listening to a great deal of them daily. And today was actually yesterday was the first time that I thought, well, maybe I should attend one of these workshops. Let's see where Abraham is going to be.
So from what you've been hearing today, does that feel to you like you were in the receptive mode when that thought came?
Yes.
And can you describe what that feeling felt like when that thought came?
It felt, I should say, though that's kind of contradictory, surprising that it was not surprising. So I
It
noticed
had more momentum than you knew.
It had,
and felt easier than you knew.
It felt very easy.
Yeah.
And
that's the way those receiving mode ideas always feel. They
It
feel intoxicatingly
very
and almost irresponsibly easy.
Right.
Illogically easy.
That you
It's
would
like,
be in my home today.
Yeah, yeah.
So I had not prepared a question, and I only wanted to have one if I felt that it would be beneficial to myself and others to
That's
ask.
why we call it co-creation at its best, because
Yes.
the questions that you prepared before you got here are usually not anywhere near up to speed with the ones that hatch in your receiving mode now. We watch for those newly hatched questions.
Very much so. And also because this is something, this kind of thinking and living and being is something that I've been being and working on, and also
enjoying,
and very much enjoying.
Yeah.
That frequently, if I do have a question, I feel, whether that comes through your teachings or otherwise, that they become answered.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
is what has brought me to this question. For example, Abraham, you, of course, as you would, have infinite patience to very frequently answer the same question in a myriad of ways for all of us.
We've never heard the same question twice. Because none of you are in the same place.
Right.
No one is ever in the same place in relationship to where they want to be as someone else has been. The answers sound similar, we know.
Right.
Ad nauseum.
I suppose that is, the answer sounds similar. So I guess I frequently, more recently, feel like I have this dialogue happening internally, whereas something will arise and I will begin to examine or try to answer that question into bringing it into alignment.
From your new point of view. But let's include with that new point of view, hopefully, alignment with who you really are. Esther said something today to you all that she has never said to anyone before. It was just something that occurred to her as she was talking about the subscription program. And she said that in the opening, which is usually around 20 minutes or so, that's where Esther listens for the new evolution of the message. And even though the majority of it is the basis that is already put there, there's always something new there, some new understandings. Wouldn't it be boring if you could ever get to the end of your understanding about anything? And then during the last dialogue, as we talk about segment intending is something that we talked about many years ago, 25 years ago. It's been a long time that we've been talking about segment intending, but today we dovetailed segment intending and why it works with your now understanding of what momentum is. That's new understanding, even though the words are a lot the same. It's the combining, the co-creating that causes the exhilaration of the new movement down the trail, so to speak. Yes.
And I suppose that I'm very grateful for feeling that momentum, and sometimes feel like I get caught in a conversation that may be similar but slightly different, as you were saying, coming from still a new perspective. But what my question, the basis of it, is where to find the patience and compassion for this internal dialogue, however evolving.
Patience for yourself or patience for others who aren't up to speed with you?
Patience with myself. I seem to be able to deal with others in a way that is compassionate and understanding, and I would say most everyone. I can do that.
We think the concept, the understanding of momentum will serve you there, because the only reason that anybody needs patience is because they are thinking about what they want and it's opposite. The only reason you need patience is because you're slowing down the natural flow. The only reason that you need patience is because you have practiced resistance. But as we were talking earlier, isn't it interesting how we answered your question before you even got here to ask it? As we were talking about segment intending, how you can get your momentum going, which will then render what you believe irrelevant, because the new momentum will carry the day. A strong desire does the same thing. A strong desire, if you have allowed the momentum to really go, takes care of that.
Right, that makes sense. And I think sometimes I'm still refining and trying to understand when always to appreciate the contrast, but when to recognize the contrast as needing to refocus, or recognize the contrast as having to have patience.
Anytime you feel negative emotion, that means you're pushing yourself beyond your ability right here, right now, to receive the answer. Every time you feel negative emotion, that's the advantage of meditating, so that you have a conscious realization of what it feels like to be in alignment. That's what basking and appreciating does. It makes you more sensitive so that you can catch that negative emotion or guidance in the earlier subtle stages. But it doesn't matter whether you catch it early or not. It doesn't matter if you've got some resistance going on and you don't notice it because it feels normal. It'll get bigger. It'll get bigger, and if you still don't catch it, it'll get bigger, and eventually it will be noticeable. And then you can feel thankful for the negative emotion because it's brought clarity to you. Some good words to offer to yourself that will ease the impatience are: things are always working out whether I can see it or not. There are things in my vortex that I can't see yet, and in time I will. Something that Jerry often said to Esther, and Esther to Jerry, and Esther to herself all the time now, is just molding it into place. Just molding it into place. Everything's working out, just molding it into place. It's fun to figure it out. Just sort of take the pressure off.
It's true. I think it's probably a lack of trust in
We
the
had
process.
quite a few conversations about that here today. These are good words that you've offered. Lack of trust in
the process.
So, lack of trust in the process, lack of trust in your application of the process, lack of trust in your understanding of the process. Because if the lack of trust is in law of attraction, you got to do rudimentary work. We don't think that's what you mean. If you see other people succeeding, meaning from our point of view happier, but success means a lot of things to a lot of people. If you see other people succeeding where you don't think you are, that's lack of trust in your application of the process, not the laws themselves, you see. And isn't that negative emotion helpful in helping you to define where you might want to do some segment intending? If you've been listening to us at all, and those who have will confirm this, it's a really frequent thing for us to go right to the beginning with people when we can feel that we've hit a sort of brick wall where we are flowing everything that they're asking for and they just can't hear it. It's like flowing electricity to a closed circuit and somebody's going to get electrocuted. And it never feels good. So we'll step back and we'll say, well, do you acknowledge that you are an extension of source energy? Do you acknowledge that source energy part of you exists and is aware of you? Do you know that before you were in this body that you were source energy? And do you know that the larger part of you still is source energy? And can you kind of feel that that larger part of you has an opinion about where you stand and likes it no matter what you think about it? Is proud of you and feeling your value no matter what you think? So we just keep focusing until we find something that gives them resonance. And once we find that, then they can hear what we're saying now. So that's what we would recommend that you do for yourself. Don't ask for patience while you put up with what you want not coming. That's not what we mean. Don't be patient about impatience. Impatience is guidance. It's saying to you, you could make a change and you could do it right now, and energy and thoughts would start flowing right now. One of the things that we like to say to people is, let's say that you could use, or you want, or you have, the idea has come and you know that you want an extra 100,000 or 200,000 or 300,000 or 400,000 or 500,000 or more. Let's say you could really use that money. There's something that you would specifically apply it to today. But your doubt is strong that it's going to happen today. The idea of that amount of money just all of a sudden and unpredictably and uncharacteristically occurring in your experience right here today just activates doubt within you that doesn't let that thought gain any momentum at all. Ooh. But if you were thinking in terms of the vortex, if you were thinking in terms of energy, if you were thinking in terms of alignment, if your segment intending was about, I'd like to feel more prosperous right now, not I would like the money to come that I could respond with a feeling of prosperity, you can accomplish a feeling of prosperity just by acknowledging that every place in this nation today is over 100 degrees and the only place that's comfortable is right here where you are. That's a sort of lucky me, good on me for being here today instead of over there. And you can feel yourself coming into alignment as you acknowledge that. So it's just a matter of looking for the evidence of what causes you to feel good, and then you're in the receptive mode, and then the momentum can begin to flow again. Helpful?
It is helpful. I think I need to try better in being also in a state of allowing.
So let's soften that.
Mm-hmm.
I need to try better.
Try is not.
Well, it's okay, and it's where you are, and it's what you just decided as a result of what we said. So you weren't quite in the receiving mode, so you heard what we said as you need to try harder. Not interesting? It's not what we said, no. But that's what you heard.
Right.
So
the allowing.
It's all right, because you are where you are. Write that down. I am where I am. I am where I am. I can't be other than where I am. In other words, don't be hard on yourself about where you are, but let's try to find a way of saying that in a way that feels better. I am where I am, and that's okay. And I'm getting better and better at this. And I'm understanding so much that I didn't understand. And every day, new things dawn on me. And I'm really having a good time at this. I know that the energy is flowing, and I like the idea of momentum. And I can feel my dreams becoming a reality. I can feel that it's happening. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited about bearing witness to it. I'm excited about me getting to be there watching the things that I've intended come about. It's no fun showing up after they've already come about. Then you got to give somebody else credit. But to get to watch them come about, doesn't get any better than that. That's the whole point of all of it. You see? Helpful?
Very helpful, thank you.
Really good conversation.